Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live episode of Langer at the Mic Live. It is Philly week. They like to call it Dallas week. Well, we might be too cool to wear shirts that, or Coach Mike McCarthy might be too cool to wear shirts that say "Beat Philly" and all of that. The same way head coach Nick Sirianni wore a "Beat Dallas" shirt earlier this week in one of his press conferences. But you know what? Whenever the Cowboys play the Eagles, no matter how good or bad the Eagles are, it's always a matter of beating those dirty ass birds. And you know what? I'm wearing my shirt over here. It says Cowboys good. As you can see, Cowboys good. Washington bad. Giants ugly. Eagles stupid. So yeah, let's beat the stupid Eagles this week. But we're going into a Cowboys-Eagles preview here on Langer at the Mic Live. Also, the Habs play the Leafs tonight in a preseason game, but it's still hockey for the first time since July. But anyway, Cowboys-Eagles, Monday Night Football, Week 3. Eagles coming off a 32-6 win at Atlanta in Week 1, but then losing 17-11 at home against the San Francisco 49ers. So let's get right into this matchup right here. The Cowboys, through 2 weeks, have done really, really well on offense and have made a surprising amount of plays on defense. So, and the Eagles, again, just kind of a tale of two teams in the first 2 weeks. They just took it to the Atlanta Thrashers, Atlanta Falcons in Week 1, and but then ran into the wall that is the San Francisco defense in Week 2. So, but yeah, let's first start by looking at the Cowboys offense versus the Eagles defense, and at least the Eagles front. And also, we're going to be on Spotify for this, so I'm going to upload this to Spotify. So those listening, thank you so much for tuning in. But let's just go get right into it now. If you look at the Eagles front right now, first of all, the big news out of Philly is that Brandon Graham, I think, tore his Achilles, and he's out for the season, which obviously don't wish any harm on any player or anyone. But in the business of football and dealing with who you got to play against, that is a tremendous advantage for the Cowboys, especially considering that Terrence Steele, how well he played against Joey Bosa last week. Josh Sweat, and also don't forget about Ryan Kerrigan on the other side over here. Maybe we'll see Ryan Kerrigan get a little bit more action with Brandon Graham injured. But yeah, just that is a huge loss for the Eagles in terms of their presence on the edge against the Cowboys offensive line. But obviously, the usual case going up against the Eagles, or the usual thing to look out for, is Fletcher Cox in the middle, who is questionable. I think he took a day off of practice on Friday because of an illness. We'll see what the news is out of today for Fletcher Cox. But honestly, to me, when you talk about how do we attack this front, like, the Cowboys on paper should have their way with the Philadelphia defense. The way the Cowboys ran the football last week against the Chargers with the combination of Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, Zeke running for 16 times for 71 yards, a touchdown. Tony Pollard running 13 times for 109 yards and a touchdown. You look at this front seven without Brandon Graham. Does anyone really stand out except in the middle? You look at the edges, you look at the linebackers. So to me, the Cowboys should have their way in the running game with the Eagles, but here's the X factor, though. As I've highlighted in orange over here, their Achilles heel right now, assuming Terrence Steele plays like he did last week, because Terrence Steele could as well also play like he did in 2020 and in preseason and become a turnstile at right tackle, replacing Lyle Collins. But to me, the X factor here is Tyler Biadasz, because he's been struggling a little bit through the first 2 weeks of the season. And he's been arguably the Achilles heel of the Cowboys offensive line through 2 weeks so far. So to me, if the Cowboys, if Tyler Biadasz does not hold up, well, then that's where Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox, if he plays, could disrupt the game for the Cowboys, and even in the passing game. Although I will say Tyler Biadasz is, I think, a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. But at the same time, Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave are the Eagles' what the Eagles should look at in terms of stopping the Cowboys' run and also getting some pass rush on Dak Prescott. But I would say, yeah, again, just it all comes. If all goes well, the Cowboys should be able to run the ball on the Eagles, who just wondering what they gave up on the ground last couple weeks. They gave up to Cordell Patterson. Had a good day. I mean, yeah, Cordell Patterson is a gadget player for the Falcons, but also they held Mike Davis to what am I looking at here? 15 rushes for 49 yards. And then last week, against the 49ers offense that runs the ball a lot, the 49ers went, what was it? Obviously, they run by committee. Just pulling the stats right over here. So, yeah, 49ers had 117 rushing yards against the Eagles defense. So I, again, expect a big day from Zeke and another big day from Tony Pollard. Now, let's look at the Cowboys' weapons versus the Eagles' secondary. And this is another tremendous mismatch in favor of the Cowboys because with Amari Cooper, whose ribs reportedly are cracked, according to Amari Cooper himself. He was on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas earlier this week and spoke that he said that he is, despite cracked ribs, is going to be good to go. And that is really big because Amari Cooper has been averaging over 100 yards receiving in all his games that he's played against Philly thus far since being acquired in 2018. Over 100 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, the big 200 plus yard game he had in 2018. And he had a really big game against the Eagles at home. This is also at home at AT&T Stadium. Of course, this is the home opener for the Cowboys and the first game that they're expected to have a full crowd in the last, since after the 2020 season of COVID. But anyway, the only real threat, of course, in the Eagles secondary is Darius Slay. So what does that mean? So if Darius Slay is lined up at Amari Cooper, what does that mean? Well, CeeDee Lamb. Just feast on Steven Nelson. If Darius Slay decides to match up against CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, feast on Steven Nelson or Avonte Maddox, or even Cedric Wilson, or Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin. So, again, the two things that the Cowboys should, with the way they've played on offense against Tampa and against LA last week, the Cowboys should have their way against the Eagles. The only, I'd say, three players on the Eagles defense that have a plan that can potentially wreck that or disrupt that is Darius Slay at corner, Fletcher Cox, and Javon Hargrave. Now, if you look at the Eagles on the offensive side for the Eagles, defensive side for the Cowboys, the defensive front. Now, obviously, with so many injuries, the Cowboys are quite decimated on defense, especially in the front seven. Dorrance Armstrong out with the high ankle sprain. Carlos Watkins out because I think a knee injury. Keanu Neal out because of COVID. Bradley and I out because of COVID. So what does that mean? Well, and let's get to the Eagles side also. Let's not forget that Jordan Mailata, their beast of a left tackle, Australian left tackle, who very interesting story coming, having never played football, I think until 2018. And then he finally tried it out and was a beast because he's like, 6'7", 385 pounds. So, but he might not be good to go. He might not play in this game because of I think a knee injury. So that would likely mean Andre Dillard would draw in, and that could be advantageous to the Cowboys, but Andre Dillard is also their first round pick in 2019. So that might not be the easiest matchup for the Cowboys either. But here's the thing though. Micah Parsons, Jaron Kearse showed what they could do last week. In terms of the defensive tackle spot, this is where I think we'll see more of Quinton Bohanna, especially on running downs. But then again, Jalen Hurts' biggest threat is his legs. That's the way Jalen Hurts can beat you. And obviously the big arm and extending plays outside the pocket. But I believe in this is the first time in years between Rob Ryan and Rod Marinelli, and obviously Monte Kiffin back in the day, and most recently, most recently, Frank, why am I drawing a blank here? Mike Nolan. Hello. I guess I forgot his name for a good reason, but anyway, blanked on his name for good reason. But yeah, Mike Nolan last year. This is the first time with Dan Quinn that I actually trust what he can do in terms of scheming a game plan against a given opponent. So last week, while Justin Herbert threw for over 300 yards because Justin Herbert's a really good quarterback, the Cowboys kept the Chargers out of the end zone, gave up only 1 touchdown, got 2 turnovers on them, 2 interceptions. Should have been a third if Jaron Kearse's interception didn't get called back for pass interference. But all to say is Micah Parsons, because of Bradley and I being out, and obviously DeMarcus Lawrence and Dorrance Armstrong being out on the edge. Here's the thing, though, it's interesting, is who spies Jalen Hurts? Because to me, with all these running quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, even Lamar Jackson, even Kyler Murray, but obviously more specifically Jalen Hurts this week, if you could keep Jalen Hurts inside the pocket, I'll take my chances. Now, there's a whole other beast that we have to talk about when we talk about the Eagles' weapons and the fact that they have a lot of speed at the wide receiver position. We'll get to that in a little bit. But to me, in terms of spying Jalen Hurts, I would honestly see what Jaron Kearse could do in that role. We saw CJ Goodwin do that last year in week 16, I want to say. Special teams guy just comes in on defense literally to spy on Jalen Hurts, yeah. So to me, I would rotate that responsibility between Jaron Kearse and Micah Parsons, but because of where the Cowboys are at on the edge, between Chauncey Golston, Terrell Basham, Randy Gregory, like those are basically the only 3 or 4 edge players that they have available to them right now, because that's how thin they are at the defensive end position. But again, I would put Micah Parsons on the edge, but here's the other thing though. I'm going to flip this around. I would actually put Micah Parsons on Andre Dillard's side and Randy Gregory potentially on Lane Johnson's side. I just lost my camera here. Oh well. Technical difficulties. I need a new camera. But anyway, yeah. I guess we'll just do a screen here. So yeah. All this to say is yeah, so I would flip Randy Gregory to Lane Johnson's side the same way Micah Parsons was flipped away from Rashawn Slater last week. So and I think that Dan Quinn could do that, but also maybe Dan Quinn will also give Micah Parsons a shot to spy Jalen Hurts as well. So that's the Eagles. That's the Cowboys front against the Eagles offense. But of course, they could beat the Cowboys by running the football. Still, if Quentin Bohanna or Osa Odigizua, who's been playing well through 2 weeks, can't hold up. Now, on the defensive side, over here, let's pull this up. Dallas, the Eagles' weapons, low key, they could win the game for them, honestly, with their speed, with the home runs that they could potentially hit. So Jalen Reagor, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, with all that speed, and the Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith from last year, of course. Wait 1 second, just going to remove. Okay. Yeah. So what's it called? So they could beat you with speed. They could hit a couple of home runs like they did with Deshaun Jackson in that week 16 game last year. So that's where I wonder if we're going to see Jaron Kearse play the spy role and maybe Jordan Lewis comes off the field and you let Quez Watkins see what he can do. And then, yeah, like I would honestly put either, if Jaron Kearse is going to play the spy role on Jalen Hurts, Jaron Kearse, yeah, there you go. Then maybe that means Malik Hooker and DeMonte KZ have to play more cover 2 or just play more deep and protect against the big home run play on Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor. Because again, this Eagles offense, they could beat you. Like again, the 2 things that scare me the most are the home run play ability and Jalen Hurts scrambling. So if you can limit those two things, I like my chances of this Cowboys defense against the Eagles offense, even given how short-handed the Cowboys defense is. Now, let's get into our predictions real quick. So I would say the Cowboys. I picked against the Cowboys the last 2 weeks, but I have faith in Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore. I have faith in Kellen Moore to pick apart this Eagles defense, especially if they're going to be without potentially Fletcher Cox, but really their only threats are Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, I would say. And I trust Dan Quinn to draw out a defensive game plan that would allow the Cowboys to make that, would keep the Cowboys in this one. And at that point, it's all on Dak Prescott and the offense to go and win the game for them like they did last week against the Chargers. So I'm going to take the Cowboys in a bit of a shootout here. I would say Cowboys win in their home opener, 34, Eagles 24. That's my pick. Cowboys 34, Eagles 24. And I'm going to go through my picks this week real quick in week 3 here. I did pick the Carolina Panthers for the record. Ravens, Lions. The Ravens are my survivor pick, but they have like a bunch of players go on their COVID list. But I'm still taking the Ravens over the Lions. But the Lions could surprise, and I'm feeling a little bit nervous about that pick now. But anyway, Ravens over Lions. Falcons over Giants. Ooh, Patriots or Saints. Saints over Patriots. Steelers over Bengals. Titans over Colts. Bills over Washington football team. Chiefs over Chargers. Cardinals over Jaguars. Browns over Bears. Broncos over Jets. Raiders over Dolphins. Seahawks over Vikings. Rams over Bucks. I'm picking against Tom Brady this week. And Packers over Niners. And Cowboys over Eagles. And that's all we have here on this live stream here of Langer at the Mic Live. We lost our visual here, but we're still here on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, of course. But as usual, if you enjoy my commentary, give me a big thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to my channel. Give me a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Mike Langer for all 3. And this has been a Cowboys-Eagles preview here on Langer at the Mic Live. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.